Hey everybody, welcome to my new show. My name is Dallas Amico. I am recording this, doing this for the Strickland, and here's how it's going to work. This is what the show is going to be about. Primarily, we're going to focus on X's and O's and schematic things. What sort of offense the Knicks are running, what kind of defensive schemes the Knicks are running or utilizing, how they're using their personnel in those schemes. That's going to be the sort of stuff we focus on. Starting this week, we're going to talk about off-ball movement in the offense, off-ball actions in the offense, and we're going to talk about how Tibbs is using Julius Randle in the defense differently than he has in past years. Okay. For the most part, I'm going to try to keep these really short, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Keep them short and sweet. We'll focus on a couple of schematic concepts and then move on. Okay. So to that end, let's get right to business. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen here. This first clip, what I want you to focus on is what the off-ball players do. Okay, so I'm going to just play this clip through to start, and I'll maybe say a couple of things as it's going, but then we'll go through a little slower second time around. So it's a pick and roll here. Nothing really comes of it except they get the switch that they like. So they have Julius Randle isolate in the middle of the floor. And all right, we end up with a semi-contested Julius Randle 3 as the result. Okay, but let's take this a little slower. Okay, so here's the initial action. First of all, I'm not sure what RJ's been doing here. He's got to get out behind the three-point line, but let's focus here. Okay, so Julius is isolating. We have RJ here, half in the corner. We have Mitch in the dunker spot. We have Evan Fournier in the corner, and we have Brunson on the wing. Now watch how for the entirety of Julius's action, nobody moves, except RJ starts to move right at the end where he's basically just lifting up into the wing. Now, this is a really common thing for a Tibbs set, right? Especially after the first initial action stops, off-ball players tend to be very stationary, right? They find their places on the court, and the primary sort of action you'll see is a player in the corner lifting up to the wing just to create a better angle for a pass, right? This pass here is very difficult. You're going over multiple defenders, whereas this pass here is a lot easier to make, right? But other than that, you don't see a lot of movement typically, traditionally in a Tibbs offense. Okay, so now I want to focus on Fournier and what happens next. When this ball comes to Brunson, watch what happens. We have 3 defenders focused on it. Julius's man is watching Brunson. Brunson's man is closing out on him. And Fournier's man is showing on him, trying to dissuade him from shooting. Now look at all of this space behind Fournier's man for a back cut, right? But Fournier doesn't move. So watch what happens. Here we go. Oh, and look at all this space. Incredible. Fournier just stands still. So nothing comes of it. But notice what would happen if Fournier takes this cut. Somebody's going to have to come over and help, right? You can't just leave a guy running to the basket wide open. And even if Brunson is unable to make this pass, the fact that a man will have to help, and this is the most likely man, Mitch's man, is going to have to step over, which is going to leave Mitch open to step up to the rim for Fournier to try to pass it to him if Fournier gets the ball. And because of that possibility, RJ's man is going to have the responsibility of guarding both Mitch and RJ, and likely is going to be closer to Mitch because that's a more dangerous threat, right? The man in the dunker spot. As a result, notice how easy this pass to RJ would be and how much space RJ would have to catch and shoot if Fournier just made this cut, right? That's the sort of likely domino effect of moving off the ball when defenders move behind defenders, against their momentum, forcing them into these help positions that give you advantages. Okay, now what actually happens is Fournier stands perfectly still. And funny enough, he gets another opportunity here. Again, his man shows, right? And notice still literally no movement from anybody, right? Everybody's staying perfectly still. Finally, Fournier gets the memo. A little too late. His man has already started recovering. And then we end with a Randall ice, just pull up 3. So again, let's just go through it one more time in fast motion. This is the sort of play that could have easily generated a very good shot, but instead the offense settles for a mediocre shot. And really it comes down to not moving off the ball. Now, if you guys have followed me or interacted with me for a long time, you know that I've been critical of this feature of Tibbs' offense. For a long time, it's been a feature of both on-ball actions, of the primary actions and the secondary action, that there's no off-ball movement. As you just saw there was some extreme stagnation off the ball. But on the ball this year, we've actually seen improvements from the team. So let's watch a different play here, and we'll talk about what we mean. Okay, so right away, the Knicks notice that they have a matchup that they like here with Julius Randle in the post. So RJ is going to clear out. Mitch is going to come down to the dunker spot, doing very similar things that we saw last time. People filling out the perimeter. Mitch in the dunker spot, just trying to spread the floor. Okay, but now notice what happens. Instead of just standing here and waiting, which allows the defense to know where you're going to be, and so know where they're going to need to recover if they help, which makes it a little bit easier for, the Wizards here are doing what's called flooding the strong side, which is a defense that, and we'll talk about it actually here in a second, about what the Knicks are doing, a defense that Tom Thibodeau invented. So they have 4 men on the strong side that Julius Randle is looking at. And on this side of the ball, there's really 2 guys, right? At most. So they're guarding Julius Randle with a ton of attention, right? And the thought is that if Julius tries to make one of these passes to the far side, that this close man will be able to recover to whichever guy the ball goes to. And then that will give enough time for the other man to recover before the ball can be swung, right? That's sort of the idea behind the defense. And then it gives you extra rim protection. Okay, so let's see what happens. Instead of standing still this time, Fournier comes in and starts flashing to the middle. And he's not just flashing to the middle, but he's flashing to set up a screen. So the idea is this guy is supposed to be able to recover to either of these 2 guys on the perimeter. But if you screen him off, that's going to make it a lot harder for him to recover if Julius makes the pass. So he knows this. So look at him moving to not get screened. Now, these guys know their responsibility right now is to watch Mitch and to be ready to offer rim protection here, right? This guy's job, this guy's responsibility is to watch both RJ and Fournier. The fact that Fournier set this screen forced him to get in position to recover to RJ, and that left Fournier here floating in the middle with nobody on him. So watch this. He fights to get around the screen. Fournier comes here. Fournier's man is over here flooding the strong side, offering extra rim protection, and that leaves Fournier wide open for a simple basket. All right, so let's watch this now in fast motion. It all happens really quickly, but this is a really, really awesome play. This is a looks way better than the previous isolation play that we saw, Julius isolation play. And really, it's all set up by just very simple off-ball movement. This isn't like we're running a Warrior-style offense or something, right? This is a simple back screen and a simple flash to the middle of the paint. Nothing complicated, but it gets us a wide open bunny. And you love that, right? Awesome to see. Okay. Another way that Tibbs has added some off-ball actions, which makes the offense way better, is he's been using these stagger screens. Okay, so this literally, I'm just going to show you like a 5-second clip here so you get the example of what's going on. Brunson and Mitch here are this is off the ball, right? They're going to set a screen for Deuce McBride. On this side of the ball, RJ is going to come in take a DHO from Julius Randle. Now watch what happens. Again, just watch those few seconds. Ordinarily, when these guys run a DHO, we often will have like Mitch, maybe down here in the dunker spot or down here in the dunker spot, if it's happening on this side of the floor. We'll have a man in the corner, maybe a man on the wing here, something like that is your ordinary spacing. And when that happens, Mitch's man here is going to be able to play off. The man guarding the corner is going to be able to play off down to here and still be able to recover. And this makes RJ getting the ball. When he gets the ball, he's looking into the teeth of the defense, right? And because everybody's pretty stationary, you ordinarily are going to have the defenders being able to watch RJ and still know where their men are. But when you add in this little off-ball action, this is very simple. This is, off-ball action 101, rudimentary off-ball action. Just a simple stagger screen, not even set very well. I mean, Brunson, doesn't really do anything. But notice none of these guys, look where their eyes are. And also look where their bodies are. So that means when RJ comes around and gets this ball, and look, still, Mitch, yeah, he got a little contact there. Look again, where are the eyes? He's just looking back to try to find, right? And where are their bodies? So RJ does not, in fact, drive here. He ends up taking the shot. But this paint is wide open for him as a result of just adding that very simple off-ball action. Just a little stagger screen. Nothing fancy, nothing complicated, but adding that little off-ball action makes a huge difference. Huge difference. Okay. Going to go through two more examples very quickly. So this is what's called a chin set. Maybe in a future... oh, no, this isn't the chin set. This is a horn set. But maybe in a future thing, we'll talk about chin and we'll talk about horns. But okay, so a simple horn set. The real thing I want you to focus on is while the primary action is going on, we have this RJ cut through. And that cut through makes it very difficult. And this is just, again, becoming the theme. If you're stagnant off the ball, it is super easy for the defense to keep their eyes on you and know what you're doing, right? And know where you'll be and know where to recover to. If you're moving off the ball, it is really hard for the defense to keep their eyes on the play and on you and to know where to recover to. So here's RJ's man. He's thinking, am I going to need to offer a little bit of help here on the drive, right? And he sits here and tries to give Mitch a little bit of a bump, right? Because the pick and roll, really the defense isn't holding up super well. If he wasn't here, there'd be an opening for a lob back here. Now, the Knicks are really bad at finding those lobs, but that lob, if he's not here, this lob is for sure here, given Mitch's vertical spacing. But because he's got his eyes here and RJ has moved, look, because he's committed here, look at the easy pass and the easy finish. And look, watch where he initially recovers. He doesn't know where. Look, he's going the wrong way because RJ has been moving while the primary action is going on. So his defender doesn't know where he is. He makes a poor closeout as a result, and RJ gets an easy bucket. So once again, moving without the ball when the primary action is going on is a huge advantage for the offense. Okay, let's look at one last example, and this is actually the chin set, which again, we're not going to talk about here. I really like Mitch sealing the ball there. Oh, this actually is just, this wasn't an example of off-ball action. This is just an example of a good primary set. Mitch sealing here is awesome. It forces, actually, cut this video. Can I do that? I think I can edit it out. Edit. Okay. And restart in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so now we've talked a little bit about off-ball sets for the offense. I want to turn and talk a little bit just about Wait. Cat. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so the last thing I want to say there is really it'd be ideal if we could start using a little bit more of those off-ball actions, have them built into our secondary sets, right? When the primary action fails, oftentimes the offense gets very stagnant. Tibbs has made a lot of progress with the primary action where there's more off-ball movement than there has been in the past, and it's yielding some positive results. We saw the stagger set off the ball. We saw the little back screen off the ball. We saw some examples of RJ moving, but most of these are in the primary action. What I'd really like to see is Tibbs start to incorporate that into the secondary actions as well. When you have that built into the secondary action, they'll end up being a lot more effective. You'll end up settling for fewer bad shots or fewer end of clock heaves, and instead you'll continue moving the ball. You'll continue moving the defense around and finding gaps and exploiting gaps. Okay, so to keep this short, we're just going to look at two plays on defense. The first one here, and both of these plays, interestingly, are going to focus on Julius Randle. Primarily what I want to focus on is Julius Randle's role in the defense. So if you guys watched a lot of the last 2 years, you often saw Julius Randle do what Mitch Robinson is doing here for the ball screen, right? So this is what's called a classic, it's essentially a drop defense, although Mitch is pretty high. So ordinarily a drop defense would start a little lower. Mitch is a little bit more athletic and able to come higher to the level of the screen, which is awesome. But the basic idea of this defense is that the point of attack defender goes over the screen and tries to stay connected. The big defender drops back into the paint and tries to keep both the roll man and the primary ball handler in front of him. And essentially, he only has the responsibility of guarding the primary ball handler until his man is able to recover to him. So here, see, Brunson is doing his best to get back in front. Mitch kind of looks funny here. He should be a lot lower, but I think that's because of how high he came, that it makes it tough for him to get low because he's got to get back fast. But he's trying to keep both of them in front of him, right? And you see that happening. And as Brunson starts to get in front of him, he starts to commit more to his own man, right? Okay, so that's classic drop defense. Now, for the first couple of years that Tibbs was here, he's often used Julius Randle as a drop defender in ball screens. Not any longer. This preseason, Julius Randle has been doing this when it comes to ball screens. Switching. So you see RJ even comes up, but that's not the scheme. The scheme is for Julius to switch out onto RJ's man. And essentially 1 through 4 in the defensive scheme now is often switching ball screens. Not all the time, but often switching ball screens where 1-5, 2-5, 3-5, and 4-5 are playing traditional drop defense with Mitch, which makes sense. You want Mitch guarding the rim, right? But now we are having Julius Randle switch on to smaller defenders. We're having him switch ball screens. Now, in this particular case, it ended up as a bucket for the Indiana Pacers. But this is actually, in my view, a huge improvement in the defensive scheme. Julius Randle has incredibly fast feet and incredibly quick hip turns for a guy his size. At what, like 6'9", 260, I don't know how big he is, 250, 260. Big, he's a big guy, right? Ordinarily, you're not able to switch onto like, Steph Curry types or something, or Bradley Beal types and survive. But we just saw in the preseason, right? He switched on to Bradley Beal many times and did. And in fact, didn't just survive, but succeeded. In many times, he's a better on-ball defender than some of our smaller guys, right? Like, you definitely would prefer Julius Randle guarding like an opposing point guard than Evan Fournier, for example, which is incredible. It's a testament to his skill. But what he's really bad at is dropping. He doesn't have the requisite size. He doesn't have the requisite technique, and he's never really developed it. And his timing is poor. So in drop defense, throughout his time on the Knicks, he's often just been roasted. But as a switch defender, he has a lot of potential to be an impact defender. And here, I mean, just watch how, first of all, I mean, just watch how quick a lot of this stuff happens for a guy his size. So he offers the help defense, covers to his man. Look at that. On balance, really close to him. He's not off balance, not leaning forward. If he shoots, there's not going to be a foul, right? On balance, stays with him, makes the switch under the smaller guy. Now, Duarte is not some, Steph Curry ball handler, but he stays in front. He moves his feet. Look at that. Perfect. And RJ now is forced to guard the bigger man, and this is a slightly bigger mismatch. Looking at Mitch here. Mismatch than Julius on a smaller guy, but still, RJ is strong. RJ can guard up. He can certainly guard up to the 4. And if you're giving up, occasional post-ups as a result of this, and even this, right? Like, this is Mitch comes over and helps. This is a highly contested shot. If that's the shot you end up giving up as a result of switching, I mean, you're very happy to live with that. He happens to make it, but no big deal. So that's a new thing in the defense this year. It looks like it's going to be a new staple. They've been doing it in all of the preseason games to this point. I'm super pleased about it, super happy about it. And I think it raises the defensive ceiling, especially with Julius Randle in there, significantly. Okay, so those are 2 things I wanted to focus on. I'm going to leave the other clip maybe to the next time, just to keep this short. Thank you for taking the time to listen. I had a lot of fun. I hope you did as well. All right, have a lovely day. Goodbye.